Hey guys, liom seo arás le episode nua de Ag Aistriú, less introduction, more explanation today. So, seo chiad na sé abairt, cad atá éigin inniu. There's not a lot of space. Chris is a fun person that gave us a chance to run together, go with him when the game is on. It's said that they wouldn't be coming back very soon. I want that in the savory form, preferably. So, in other words, I don't want the word rácha in there. And lastly, it's the last thing I would eat. It's the last thing I would eat. Okay? So, sin hiad na sé abairt. Those are the 6 sentences. As I always say, guys, please take your time with them, as much time as you need. Try and work it out. Feel free to go to different resources you have online, or with your books, or with your notes, or previous videos I might have done, or you might have seen here on the Patreon or on the YouTube, to try and figure them out bit by bit. But we're going to get going as normally. The first 1 or 2 are a bit easier than the rest of them. Today, kind of 1 and 2 are the same difficulty, 3 and 4 are more or less the same, and 5 and 6 the same. But it depends what you're good at ultimately. So, if you're here, guys, there's not a lot of space. Níl alán spás, níl mór spás, or finally níl galore spás. So in other words, there's several ways we can say a lot here. So I'm going to, rather than just look at the sentences, actually dive a bit deeper into a few of the words within the sentences. So honestly, naturally, the way I'd probably say it is níl mór spás. Okay? Níl mór spás. There's not much space. There's not a lot of space. So I just want to talk about mór very quickly. Firstly, in terms of the sentence itself, níl, forever, anytime we're saying there are, there isn't, there will not be, there was, anything like that, it's just the verb to be without the pronoun. As we're not going to say, for example, there is a lot of people. We're not going to say tá sé a landini, just tá a landini. Okay? So it's just the verb to be without the pronoun. And then that's why we have níl here, because it's present tense negative. And then we're going to talk about a lot or much in a second, and spás for space at the end. So, with mór, guys, the base word for, let's say, a lot is alán. But mór is very important. Here's why. With alán, we can use it for a lot if it's just in the positive and if it's before something else. So Irish often has this attitude of, if we say a word like a lot of what. Okay? So I can't say a sentence like in English I could say, I'm working a lot, full stop. In Irish I can't say tá mé ag obair alán. Tá mé ag obair alán. Okay, it has to be a lot of what. You're not telling me what it is. So a good hack there actually is tá mé ag déanamh alán obair. I am doing a lot of work. But then what if we have a situation where we kind of have to finish on a lot or much, or we want to have that on its own, we don't want to put something afterwards. For example, I didn't do much. We're not saying I didn't do much work or anything, just I didn't do much in general. The good thing about mór is I can use it standalone. Okay? So, ní dhearna mé mór full stop, end of sentence. Okay? An bhfuil tú ag éirí mór, do you want much? Do you want a lot? Okay? Full stop again. The tricky thing is, you might be thinking, well, why don't we just use mór for everything? If it's more catch-all than alán, we can only use it in negative and also in questions. Okay? So, an bhfuil tú ag déanamh mór, that's in a question. Ní rá mé ag déanamh mór, I wasn't doing much, that's in negative, but I can say tá mé ag déanamh mór for I am doing much, or I am doing a lot. Okay? So, quite similar to actually much in English, because I can't really say I am doing much, but I can say I'm not doing much, and are you doing much? So that's essentially the translations. Just thought I'd talk about that. And galore kind of isn't used as much, but actually kind of works for both. So I can use it on its own, ní mé ag déanamh galore, but also I can use it with something that's galore spás. So it's actually a bit more catch-all, but just not used as much, and kind of slightly overlaps with enough as well. So there's not a lot of space, níl galore spás. That could also mean there's not enough space in that case. Okay. Either. Hopefully that's clear. As always, any questions, guys, be it tteagmháil thíos sna tráchtaireachtaí on sin, just let me know down in the comments. Even though Chris is a fun person, so if you said tá Chris for the starters, I'm afraid it's going to be wrong. It's going to be is duine spriúil é Chris. Is duine spriúil é Chris. So we have our is and tá rule, which I've covered in one of the Made Easy videos, if you haven't seen that, over on the YouTube. So that's looking all at when do we use is and when do we use tá. Well, in this case, it's Chris is a fun person. So we're looking at a fun person. That's our golden rule. we talked about in that video. We have an adjective and a noun. Doesn't matter. Once we have a noun somewhere in there, it's going to be the copula. It's going to be the is form. With these ones, guys, where we're naming them at the start, it's Chris is a fun person, Ronaldo is a good footballer, Adele is a good singer, and things like that. The easiest way to do it is just think about it as he is a fun person, or she is a fun person, whatever it is, whoever you're dealing with. Forget about who's named and get that first. So, I am a boy is búthal mé. He is a fun person is duine spríúil é. Okay, just using the boy example as like our base example just to get the order of which the is, the whatever it is, and then the pronoun. Okay, so is duine spríúil é. And then the good thing is, if I'm naming him, I just add Chris at the end. I don't substitute Chris in for A. I just drop it on after. Is duine spríúil é Chris. Okay, is duine spríúil é Chris. Remember, spree is fun, as in the noun. So I had fun, bhí spree agam, but then spríúil as an adjective, duine spríúil. I don't want to say duine spree. Okay, in English it's a bit strange because it's one of the few ones where you have the spelling and the word the exact same for the adjective and the noun. So that's just something weird. With English actually makes more sense as Gaeilge. If we're a tree, that gave us a chance to run together. Thug sé sin seans dún ri le chéile. Thug sé sin seans dún ri le chéile. Okay, so we talked about before, guys, I think on a button and call maybe, where would give, in English, you might say it gives me, and I use my pronoun, but as Gaeilge, we're going to do it, it gives whatever to me. Okay, so instead of I gave him a present, we need to think about it as I gave a present to him. In other words, we're always going to use the preposition. That's why here, that gave us a chance. We're going to forget about the us for a minute, and it's going to be thug sé sin. Okay, that is going to be sé sin. It's being used as a subject here, so that's why it's sé sin as opposed to é sin, but not a big deal if you said thug é sin. Wouldn't be a massive mistake. Thug sé sin. So that gave us, or that gave a chance to us. Thug sé sin seans dún. Okay, so very important here to know your big 5 prepositions, ag, le, da, and o, off by heart. So thug sé sin seans dún, that gave a chance to us, and then to run together, ri le chéile. Okay, we can say hun ri le chéile as well. The hun is kind of optional. With this, the times where you really need the hun is when you're really trying to separate two kind of big parts of a sentence, or if you're trying to say in order to. I went to the shop to, but implying in order to get milk. Chuig mé go dtí an siopa, hun bainne a ceannach, or hun bainne a all, or also if I'm say going to. So I'm gonna leave tomorrow morning. Tá mé hun fágáil mad in the morach. Right, so those are the times you really need hun, but a lot of the other ones like this, it's just optional. Okay, so thug sé sin seans dún ri le chéile, anything ever related to together is always going to be le chéile. Okay, even if I said we have respect for each other, tá más agin ar a Gaeilge. Okay, tá más agin ar a Gaeilge. Okay, so anything ever to do together, each other is always going to come back to Gaeilge. Thug sé sin seans dún ri le chéile. If we're a cathair, guys, the imperative, which I haven't talked about much on here on the membership, go with him when the game is on. Sé leis nuair atá an cluiche ar siúl. Sé leis nuair atá an cluiche ar siúl. If you said sé leis agus an cluiche ar siúl, that would be fine as well. It's more so go with him while the game's on, but I suppose it makes very little difference here. But for when the game's on, I'll use nor. So why is it sé? Well, little crash course with the imperative, because firstly, what's the imperative? It sounds a very linguistic term. You might not know it. In English, it's just the command, basically. So if I'm telling you, do this, don't do that, run there, go here. So it's almost like a new tense in some way. So how do we form it? The good news is literally all we do is we use the root. We don't need to worry about urus or shavus. It's not going to take it. We just use the root. So if I say to you a really simple one, run there, ri an sin. Ri an sin, do it, okay? If I said to you, do this, Jane é seo. Jane é seo. The tricky bit is actually sometimes remembering what the root is, guys. Because in Irish, we so often, or so seldom, I should say, use the root by itself. Because we're always putting a H in the past tense and in their endings, present, future. Normally, not for all of them, but for some of them, the verbal noun, well, most of them, the verbal noun will change from the root and then the verbal adjective. So very rarely you'd actually use the root by itself. Like a little one for you here. What's the root of say? You use say every day. You know, dúirt mé, deir mé, deir hí mé, ag rá, tá sé ráite aige. But the root? It's abairt. abairt. So the irregulars in particular, because they're going to bear so little resemblance. For all the, if those are for the irregulars, for the regulars, it's going to be much easier because it's just going to be exactly like the past tense, just take away the H. Okay, so hogue may, therefore the root's just togue. Okay, bhfuil may, therefore the root is just bhfuil. Okay, go meet him, for example, bhfuil leis. Okay, so we're just going to use the root. If it's in the negative, we're going to add a na before instead of a ni. That's why here, here we're in the positive, it's che leis, but if it was, let's say, don't go with him, na che leis. Na che leis, no shave or anything, don't worry about that. And if it's in the plural, if I'm telling a group, a class of kids, for example, I'm going to add in G, I, father at the end in some form. So AIG, I, father normally, or IG, I, father, depending on when it's broad or slender. So Che rash, go back. Again, kind of you guys go back, in other words. Or be cún, be quiet, again, to a group of people. While if it was just one person, it would be cún. Okay, so that's the imperative, more or less. Che leis, the rest is fairly simple. When the game is on, nuairtá an cluiche arsúil. When the game is going on, happening, taking place, arsúil, really, really, really useful. Because I don't know why I'm doing the Italian hand gesture, but really useful. Okay, Iver chuig, it's said that they wouldn't be coming back very soon. Deirtear nach méach siad ag teachtarás go han lua, or deirtear nach méadís ag teachtarás go han lua. Either of those are fine. Okay, so firstly, as I said, I want in Siri her form. You'll get this lot, guys, actually with, let's say, it is said, it is done, that in English it works quite weird. If you take a door, for example, and you say, the door is opened, and the door is open, I mean, two different things. So number one, the door is opened. That's going to be that someone's opening the door, and we don't know who's doing it. Okay, it's an unknown person. And that's essentially what the passive is, or as Gaeilge the Siri here. Okay, so that'll be osculator on doors. And therefore, the door is open. There, I'm describing it in an adjective way. So I'm just telling you about the state of the door. In the same way the door is broken, or the door is gone, I'm telling you just something about the door. The door is open. That's the position it's in. So that's tá an doras oscailte. But if you take another verb in English, let's say close, it's very tough to see the difference. They both look the exact same in English. Okay, so if I'm saying the door is being closed by someone, but I don't know by who, I'll say the door is closed by someone, in brackets basically, but the door is closed. Versus, if the door isn't open, what position is it in? The door is closed. They both look the exact same. So it depends on the verb in English. This is the thing. A lot of the verbs, because you have so many irregulars, they'll look the exact same in both forms. So just be mindful of the difference there, and think of the difference between open and close and how those work differently. Because there, with the door is closed, then the door is closed. They're both the same in English, but as Gaeilge, it's going to be dúntar an doras, for the door is closed by someone, but I don't know who. Passive, Siri here, versus tá an doras dúnta, that's the state it's in. Okay, so a lot going on here, I understand. That's why I said to you, Siri here, please, don't tell me that something like is said and that's just the position it's in, that's the state of it. Tell me it's been said by someone, but don't tell me who, basically. Okay, so just Siri here. So deirtear, I'm going to use my ter ending, because it's present tense Siri here. If it was said, it would be duru or durach, you can say either. And then deirfor or deirher for it will be said. I'm going to roll into it then with the go or the knock. In this case, it's negative, so it's knock. So deirtear, knock méach siad. So bhéach siad is they would be, or bhéadís. Both of them are fine. The Munster way of the fusion is more common in Munster, doing, let's say, bhéamís for we would be, or bhéadís with the D ending for they would be, and that's the same for all vowels. For, rihamís, we would run, rihadís, they would run. But I would just say ruhuk muid and ruhuk sheed. I would split them. And also when you're starting off, it's much easier when you're starting off. Whatever level you are, if you're a learner, it's easier to just split them, I think. And you get less confusion because you're just copying over from one to another, depending on who it is, and you're just changing the pronoun. Okay, because obviously it'd be ruhuk she, ruhuk she. So it's probably easier just to do ruhuk muid, ruhuk shiv, ruhuk sheed. So deirtear nach méach after the knock, because it stands for a go there, we need an uru. That removes the shevu, therefore it's deirtear nach méach siad. Ag teachtarás, coming back, hopefully fairly simple. That bit, go han lua, so go lua is early. And then anything with the go, guys, such as go ma, go hintuk, go jas. If we want to put the very in there, we put it in between the go and the adjective. So in this case, it's going to be gahan lua. We have the little H to split the vowels there. So gahan wa, very good. Gahan jas, very nice, for example. Okay? Agus, iver sé, guys, an cean déarnach. It's the last thing I would eat. Is an rud déarnach a jísin. Is an rud déarnach a jísin. Okay, so forget about the would eat for a minute. That's just going to be a tag on. That could be anything. Want to look at it is the last thing firstly, and let's get rid of last. Let's make it even easier because that's also just a tag on. It's just an adjective that's basically writing on the back of the noun, on the back of rud. Okay, so it is the thing. It is the thing. Firstly, is or tha. It is the thing. We have a noun there, therefore it's is. It is the thing. I have the definite article, therefore it's going to be is a on whatever. So is a and rud, and from there we just tag on our other stuff. So the adjective we have on it is last. Is a and rud déarnach. And then that I would eat. Is it go or a for that? It's going to be a because it's after a noun. If it was after a verb such as ceap me go raibh siad ag dul, then it would be go. I talked about that in Button to Go number 7, I think, or one that came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So is a and rud déarnach a and then gís hin. Okay, so for the irregulars, what we always need to do with the muckanílach, you're thinking, well, do I use the past, present, future form? What you do is you use the future root. Okay, that's why it's I would go rock hin. I would eat. Remember, I will eat is going to be is he may. So therefore I use the is. Add on my ending, hin. And then because it starts at a vowel, with all things that start with vowel or an F, in the muckanílach I use a D apostrophe. Is a and rud déarnach a dísin. You could also have is a and rud déarnach a dísin. That would be fine. Other alternative ways, no other alternative ways to be honest. You could say G suck may. Some people split those and don't use the hin. In the books they'll tell you that's wrong, but a lot of people do it. Really, a lot of native speakers, especially in Connemara, so that's fine if you want to use that. Just looking back through the other one, Tierto not make the tráchtaireachtaí gahan lua. No other really alternatives for that. No, there's very few alternative ways really. The ways I went through it there are the most common ones. But if you've come up with any, guys, let me know in the comments below because they might be right. It's obviously tough to think of all the possible translations off the top of your head, especially when you're trying to explain the Sirvi or the muckanílach, the tishaginajuk, the copula, all at the same time. Ach, sinné. So, Tasilum, Graushi Shin, Solar, Neil Moran Sposs, is the Nesbrio like Chris, Hugsha Shin, Shanstoon, Rid Lakela, Shaylash, Nerthon, Cleher Shul, Jerternach make she the Tráchtaireachtaí gahan lua, Agus Isay on Rud Déarnach a Jísin. Some tricky ones in there. If you got all 6, really well done. Even if you only got the first one or even struggled with the first one and the rest seem really confusing, don't worry. Bit by bit, step by step, it's all the same rules going to come up over and over again. I think Button to Go complements Ag Aistriú quite well. As you hear me mention a lot of Button to Go rules there. So if you haven't, go back to episode 1 of Button to Go, which was back in August, I think, the first ever thing we released here on the membership, and just work through them bit by bit, because most of these kind of mistakes or things that might be stopping you, once you know the words and kind of the base rules such as the copula and the muckanílach and things, the main thing is just common mistakes that'll catch people out. Okay, so ein keshna, guys, be a jagulum his ach tasulagum gavunshif tatnavas tasulagum grow on kart aguf lesh like copula abairt arenos August beim Josh le pugni nismo Ag Aistriú again copula shock them. Slán, go fóill. Ciao.